Congratulations on your pregnancy. Let's talk about some ways to help support the early development of your baby. So, if you're like many women who are experiencing their prenatal journey, you may be experiencing some nausea. And typically, you're either told to try some ginger tea or you might have to deal with it. Maybe until first trimester is over, maybe until the baby arrives. But that can feel really crummy and really challenging when you're wanting to enjoy this journey and excited about your upcoming parenthood. So, did you know that chiropractic care can actually be beneficial in helping to reduce nausea during the first trimester of pregnancy? By focusing on gentle adjustments and techniques that promote proper spinal alignment and nerve function, chiropractors can help alleviate nerve pressure and improve overall body balance, which can contribute to a reduction in pregnancy-related nausea and discomfort. So if you would like to get some help or guidance in finding a chiropractor, please certainly reach out to us and comment below. You can find somebody who does manual adjusting or someone who performs adjustments more similar to what I do with low force adjusting if the idea of the cracking and popping maybe makes you a little nervous. The other thing to pay attention to in this stage, which a lot of people don't talk about, is really looking at whether or not you're getting adequate amounts of protein. You don't need to be eating for two, but there is generally an increase in caloric intake. And protein and fat digestion requires attention, as it's often a weak area or a challenging area for many women, even outside of pregnancy. And the nutrition textbooks actually suggest a significant increase of about 70 to 100 grams of protein. But if you're already dealing with challenges breaking down protein and fat, then it can be especially difficult to add in more protein. Or if you're dealing with the nausea, sometimes the crackers or the carbs are what are realistically most appealing, right? And trying to get in more protein can be really daunting or just not realistic at all. If you are dealing with food cravings or food aversions, we talk a lot about that in the Move Well, Eat Well, Live Well course. Really, what we want to help support for women during this phase of their prenatal journey is making sure that we're getting enough protein because it helps with repair of tissues. And there's a lot of changes happening at this stage of the prenatal journey. So we want to help with the restoration of those tissues, but we also want to help promote growth. And so making sure that not only you're getting adequate intake, but that your body can actually appropriately break down, assimilate, and digest those nutrients appropriately. So if you're in this part of your journey, we'd love to chat with you. And talking about digestion, this is something that really doesn't get talked about very often or nearly often enough, in my opinion. If you had to think about what ideal digestion would look like in terms of frequency of bowel movements, what do you think that would be? It's actually one bowel movement for every meal that you eat in your day. So granted, a decently sized meal. So I'm not talking about multiple snacks in the day or if you're kind of grazing throughout the day. But if you're eating a decently sized meal, there should be nutrients absorbed and waste eliminated from that meal. So if you're eating 2 to 3 meals a day or whatever the number of meals you're eating, that would be the number of bowel movements that we would want to see happening. Depending on how close or far you are to that frequency, again, this would be a great reason to reach out because we really want to help support healthy digestion as early as possible in the pregnancy because it can actually help reduce the presence or the severity of postpartum depression once your little one arrives because there is a really strong correlation, even if it's not postpartum depression specifically, but even if we're talking about depression in general, there's a really strong correlation between our emotional well-being, our brain health, and how our gut is functioning. And one of the best ways to identify how our gut is functioning is to look at how our digestion is working. And you may be taking iron supplements if you were recommended to do so. There might be some iron in your prenatal supplements if that's what you're taking. And again, that might result in decreased frequency of bowel movements, even if you're technically not constipated. So constipated being if it's less than one bowel movement a day. So technically you may be having one bowel movement a day, which is a great starting point. But if you've noticed a reduction in that or changes in your bowel movements, maybe perhaps because of the iron or in general with the changes taking place in your pregnancy, I'd love for you to check out the course that we are offering, the Move Well, Eat Well, Live Well course. The links are below. And we talk about how to take actionable steps, especially at this point in your prenatal journey, to help optimize your digestion. So, looking at your diet, but also really optimizing your digestion so that we can support the early development of your baby. Thanks, and I'll see you next week.